Hey, it's a new world, gotta adapt to it. Innovation, information, more than the average. Rushing, please ignore the interruptions, cause this is digital discussions.
All right, guys, what's happening? We are recording here today with Stacey Mooney from Stacey Retail Live, right?
Yep.
Digital discussions. We are all over the place, man. I'm running late. I'm not going to pretend like this is being set up in an amazing way. I'm just going to dive right in because that's the day that I'm having. So yeah, we're coming at you. It's Thursday late in the day, and this is going out tomorrow early. So this is going to be like in real time. So Stacey, thank you for on short notice joining us on Digital Discussions today. And I'm excited to talk about Retail Live as well as the new virtual conference that you're doing.
Awesome. I appreciate you having me on and wanting to learn more.
For sure. Yeah, well, listen, let's just start off with the obvious, right? There's so much changing in the industry, and to the point where I just literally came from a meeting in South Beach talking about a former fitness space, and we were talking in general about the state of the fitness market. And actually, I know that you represent Crunch, so this is suitable. And the person that was touring us, who's a broker that's based in South Florida, was talking about the work that he's doing with other companies like Equinox and Soul Cycle and all these name brands that seem like they'll be around forever and never close a location.
Yeah.
And I said to him, it's really interesting that you say that, because about an hour ago, I got a phone call from somebody telling me that Equinox's space may just be available. So, and he was looking at me like I had three heads, because nobody would ever assume that Equinox would close, or not, I should say, not reopen a location. And for the first time ever, I think everything that we thought would never happen is possibly happening.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely. I mean, I think I still believe, and I don't want to suggest, I mean, there are certainly some businesses that have been impacted by this that were by most measures considered to be strong and operated, well. But I still think it's not, you and I both know that there have been many brands that that have been on the watch list, if you will, for a long, long time. And I think those that are being reported right now as closing many units, you and I both know that they were having issues and experiencing issues long before COVID. It was unfortunately the final nail in the coffin. That doesn't mean that that's the case with, of course, everyone. There are companies, to your point, that you never would have thought ever they would close locations. But in doing my Meet the Retailers webinar series, I also see a lot of retailers that are taking an advantage of the situation and are growing. And I don't know that I would use the word thriving right now. They're hanging on and they're looking for new deals. So, but it's definitely shaken out some of the people that we thought would be around forever, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that quite honestly, I think there's a lot of companies that are beyond their expiration as far as I'm concerned. Like, when we talk about the usual suspects that have been in trouble for a very long time, right? The Pier 1s, the JCPenney, the list goes on. But I do think, like today, again, hearing that Equinox might not reopen a particular location, that was very shocking to me. Yeah. However, I really shouldn't be that shocked, because at the end of the day, smart, healthy companies are making a smart decision if they're closing a location that was not performing, right? Again, I don't know how much term they have left on their lease. I don't know all of the particulars, right? But what it tells me is there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, a lot more conversations that companies that are in good health or that have strong business models that are also having. Starbucks, perfect example, right?
Right, exactly what I was just thinking as you were saying that.
Exactly. So listen, I represent Starbucks and have for 16 years, okay? So I know Starbucks intimately, and they're a very smart company. Okay. People that are not in our business have said to me over the past several weeks, Starbucks is closing a lot of locations. I think they're in trouble. I'm like, listen,
They're not in trouble.
Starbucks is not in trouble. They're smart, right? So
They're reevaluating their business model and adjusting to the current times. That's what good businesses and operators do.
That's exactly right. So, and I'm saying all of this to segue us into a discussion about events in the industry. Companies like Retail Live, the things that you have planned and how you're kind of pivoting to be relevant in the climate that we're in right now, and obviously the future, what the industry looks like in the future, and what people like myself will want to be a part of in order to thrive in this new world. So tell us a little bit about it for people who are watching that don't know what Retail Live is. Let's start from the beginning. So tell us about Retail Live.
Okay, sure. Retail Live is a commercial real estate networking conference that was started. The first event was in 2012 in Austin, Texas. The format of it is fast paced. It's 4 hours of trade show with 100 exhibitors, 95% of which are expanding retailers in the market where the event is hosted. There are no preset meetings for those retailers. So if you pay to attend, you walk up to the booth. Again, using our Starbucks example, you have a site for Starbucks, you get in line, you wait your turn, and you get to actually meet with the Starbucks real estate manager or director of development, what have you, and present a site to them. And so it's unique from other events in that you don't have to have a pre-scheduled meeting. And that really comes from my experience trying to present shopping centers to some great retailers that frankly just, there's 30-minute meeting slots, there's only so many meetings they can have. And it was frustrating. I was like, I just want 10 minutes. I want to be able to shake somebody's hand and introduce myself so that when I call, even if I can't have that in-depth conversation right now, when I call, they remember me and I have a better chance of being able to continue that conversation. So Retail Live provides the opportunity for people to actually put a face with a name, interact with retailers, do it in a short half day, conference where it doesn't take up a lot of time and travel and hotel expenses. It's kind of, get in, get out, meet the retailers. And then you walk away with the site criteria and contact information for all those retailers that participate.
I love that because, a big part of the conversations that I'm having with my company and other business owners in the industry is what do the future of events look like, and what is the best way to spend dollars as a company to help your folks thrive, right? So, and speaking for myself, I know based on the fact that Recon didn't happen this year, we're all in a very interesting position, right? So, however, I really like the fact that Sabre saved tens of thousands of dollars as a result of not attending Recon this year. So, and I miss it. It's something that, you feel obligated to attend as somebody in the industry. This would have been my 19th Las Vegas ICSE, which is now obviously called Recon.
Yep.
And, I'll be honest, the way that I think about Recon is I've always sent, call it 25 people from Sabre to Vegas, paid for their flights, paid for the majority of their hotels, paid for dinners, paid for the booth, paid for, the whole thing, right? So
I do not want to see that bill. That's got to hurt.
You don't want to see that bill. And I have a story for another time when, I've had folks at the company that have run up tabs at Encore Beach Club that you could literally go out and buy a nice BMW or Mercedes for the price tag on those bills.
In their defense, every item is like 5 times what it should be, So,
well, listen, this is, when you pop champagne and they arrive in like a Cadillac Escalade, little tots thing that like my son would be driving around the driveway. Yes, the tab on those bottles of champagne is way higher than it would be elsewhere. And but that aside, it's the fact that we're all, as business owners, forced to itemize everything and look at every line item right now, right? Like through this downturn, I have to look at what I'm spending on each event. And, I know for a fact that I'm spending a lot more money than I need to at an event like Recon and so on and so forth. So I think it's, what you're doing is kind of sweet and to the point and very highly effective. And there's a place for that in this world that we're living in. So I commend you.
I mean, even when we're doing our live events, again, you're exactly right. I mean, I have, in my 20 years of being in the business, I've run leasing departments. I've been presented with, sponsorship opportunities. Of course, we're encouraging our leasing agents and brokers to go to the events, to your point, because our clients are saying, are you going? Are you going to present my site? And I think all of us would admit that while there are some good things about it, I don't want to say that deals don't ever come out of those situations, because everybody would argue, hey, I closed a deal there or whatever. But I think it's the investment in response to, what the return is. And to your point, I know what it costs to send just myself, right? One person.
Right.
I can't imagine a business owner, particularly if you're talking about adding a booth. I mean, those costs are exorbitant.
Yeah.
And, at Retail Live, our retailers exhibit for free. The most you can exhibit as, like Sabre could exhibit if you're a top level sponsor. And the top level sponsorship is, the top level is $10,000. $10,000 to have a booth, be one of maybe 10 sponsors, high profile, high visibility, in and out, one night of hotel expenses for your people. I mean, you can get that same exposure. They're not 30-minute meetings. You can have those. We've all been doing that when these conferences have been eliminated. The in-depth you can do that. But I think, to your point, at what cost? And I think all of us are evaluating, like, I'm putting a lot of money in, and is there a way for me to do this, have those meetings more efficiently, financially and time-wise, right? So I think that Retail Live addresses that. I'm biased, but
yeah, but I think that is something that's going to be, again, very important moving forward in our industry. And we need more platforms to be able to share information, meet people, network, whether it be in person or virtually. And I'm obviously a big user and fan of using platforms through social media and video, and obviously digital discussions and any other way that I can get out and communicate and share information without just specifically doing it on a very local level and handshaking, word of mouth. I think today, a lot of our industry is still so traditional in nature that they are only used to what they've experienced previously. So, and again, that's very much what the events are for the most part that we've all been attending as long as we're in the industry. Why do you do it? Because it's all you know.
We're told we have to.
Right. Are you going to this event? Yeah, of course I'm going. I have to go, right? And I think that now, for the first time, we're dealing with things that have changed, everything that's normal to us, and even, traveling, right? So, I'm in Florida right now. You're in Florida. I drove my family to Florida. I've been here for, 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks now. And, just everything that we know is totally just changing. And, the future of the industry is changing so much more than anybody could have anticipated in such a short period of time as a result of this pandemic. Now, it's funny, every person that I've been meeting with in South Florida is saying to me, hey, I'm not sure that I'm going to go to New York ICSC, by the way, which is the next big event, that if you go to two events in my neck of the woods, right, you're going to Recon and you're going to New York ICSC. If you're not going to New York ICSC now, I don't know the next time that I'm going to have a face-to-face. If I wasn't in South Florida right now, I don't know when I'd be having FaceTime with my friends that are in this market next, because again, I was assuming that I'd be seeing them
Right.
in December, and you can't assume anything anymore.
Nope.
So the decision for you to have a virtual conference is timely, and I think it's just taking what everybody's doing now through the use of these video platforms, and again, connecting the dots and letting people meet without having to travel and be in a specific place at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you and I are clearly very social people. And so obviously there's something to be said for that, face-to-face interaction. That's not going to go away. But I think, to your point, the reality is we don't know how long it's going to be until really we're able to do that. And while some of us may be comfortable doing that, some won't be for a long time. I would imagine, you coming from a market like New York, you probably have a very different perception of the impact of COVID than probably I do, being in my little bubble down here in Florida, and so everybody has a different timeline of what that's going to look like for them to be comfortable. And I also think that, it's funny, I probably would have said my own self, I mean, obviously I run a conference business, so I wouldn't have been one to necessarily advocate for non-in-person meetings, but I would have said, that's not going to work. People can't interact. We've got to be in person. And again, it's not to say that there isn't a need for that. We all want that connection. But I think what we've all learned in the last 8-9 weeks is that while it's not in person, this feels still pretty good. It kind of feels like you're across from me, and it's certainly better than nothing at all. And we need to be able to see each other's faces and read body language and all of that, including when you're presenting sites and trying to make deals happen. And so, it's making the best of the current situation. And like Starbucks or any of these other retailers that are adapting, it's, whatever we were doing pre-COVID doesn't really matter, because you can't keep doing that. And if we don't adjust, if you don't adjust as a business owner to the current situation, you'll fall to the wayside of those that are adapting. And so certainly the virtual conference was a decision to say, how do we continue to connect people, stay relevant, maintain our brand, find out about deals when we can no longer have them in person, or at least for the foreseeable future.
For sure. And I think based on what you just said, it's important for me to talk about my experience of coming from New York to Florida, because I traveled through many states and was able to get a little bit of a snapshot on the difference, as I traveled from New York down to South Florida. And now that I've been here almost 3 weeks, obviously New York has changed quite a bit in 3 weeks. There's been the suburbs surrounding New York City are basically in phase 2. That happened middle of last week. New York City entered phase 1 and is approaching phase 2. And it's interesting because when I came into South Florida, I'm coming from New York, where we've been literally in like isolation,
right,
for practically 3 months, like not seeing humans, wearing masks everywhere, gloves everywhere, fear for your life type stuff when you leave the house, even to the supermarket, right? And then you come to South Florida, and my experience has been that people are not taking this as seriously, which is understandable because New York was obviously the center of the universe and a hot zone. But, when you come to a place like South Florida, and clearly the restaurants that are open are doing a great job. They're taking it very seriously. Everybody has masks on and gloves, and some of the restaurants that I've been to are just really, really top notch as far as, making you feel comfortable. Because again, understand that I forget eating out. I hadn't picked up food in New York. Like we literally cooked and ate cereal and cup of noodles. And, I would literally eat whatever it was I could eat
available that consisted of adding hot water, right?
That's right. So because I was more concerned about, I don't care. And I'm very into my diet and eating healthy. But for me, that took a back seat through, the darkest days of COVID in New York. I would eat cup of noodles every single day for lunch if I had to, type thing. And we cooked our way through and barbecued. And, we it was not extremely uncomfortable. We did it. Relocated to South Florida, and the restaurants, like I said, first time I'd been to a restaurant, and they're doing a great job in South Florida, but the numbers are increasing. And so being a New Yorker now in South Florida, and every person,
did I chase it?
yeah, well, every person that I speak to in New York is like, hey, it sounds like South Florida is like, New York now. I'm like, it's not. But part of me is it the laxed attitude of the people that are, not necessarily as scared as us New Yorkers? Because, when I go anywhere, my mask is on. I have this stuff literally everywhere. And that's how we're operating, because we're so scared based on what we, experienced. So,
for sure.
Exactly. And by the way, when I'm meeting people, Floridians, I'm scared. Like, I don't want to shake your hand. Everyone's reaching out to shake my hand or to like embrace me and give me a hug. I'm like, no. We do this or we do nothing. Right. So, and again, it's just because, what we've experienced and how scary it's been. And the thing is, we don't know where this is going in, towards the end of the year. You watch the stock market go up because everybody's like, oh, people are going to be traveling more. Everything looks great. And then it goes down because, there's going to be more COVID cases in the fall when, nobody knows, right? If there's one thing for sure, it's that it's going to be a bumpy road for the rest of the year. Yeah. And again, I commend you for keeping the industry connected through these tools.
Trying.
Well, listen, you're trying, and that's half the battle, right? So, I told you that I'm excited because I wanted to do something, and I just sent Erica what my plan is. I don't know if you've seen it from my video segment, but I'm excited because it ties into everything that we're experiencing right now. And I think what's interesting about, what COVID has forced us all to do, like, where are you right now in your house?
That'd be my bedroom.
Okay. So we're in your bedroom. Everybody watching this right now is in your bedroom with you, right?
Yeah.
So it's forced us to become so much more human, in my opinion. I think I've really been human through these platforms for a long time, a lot longer than most people who are just overnight on Zoom in their bedroom, right? So, and I think that that's really going to be the biggest difference in not only the businesses that we own and run and operate, but the businesses that we work with, the clients that we have, right? There's such a more important human element today. If you're a company, you have to have a human element to you. You have to be human. You can't just be this corporate thing that has no face anymore. And, and I think that's really where, again, not to like plug Sabre, but that's been the biggest point of differentiation for myself and my team. Is my why as a company is to help communities be better and make people better. Like it's that type of a thing. And I think that, the biggest challenge for all of us is to be making that transition from the traditional mentality of our industry to how do we operate in this new normal? And, that's going to be the biggest challenge, because to your point earlier, I don't know when I'm going to be comfortable getting on a plane again to go tour. I mean, I was probably on a plane, I don't know, 35 times last year to tour, every major market on several occasions. When am I going to be comfortable doing that again? When am I going to go to a conference in LA next?
I can't, we have a family member that sprung on us. They're getting married in like a month and want to know if we want to fly up. And I was just like, oh, I'm not comfortable with, it's like, I want to be there to support these people. Obviously it's amazing, but my gut reaction was like, I'm not ready to get on a plane.
Right. You know how many Zoom weddings I've attended in the last 3 months? Many of them.
Crazy. It's crazy. I think that, to your point about the human element, I think that I've said this in so many like different, whether it was podcasts or interviews or whatever, but really I think you're right in that what we were all caught up in before was kind of shoving, how do I say this in a way, like self-promotion, like lack of better say, like, look how great I am, look what I've done, look at my resume, look at the deals, and we got to this place where really nobody was doing any deals. It wasn't about that anymore. It was about everybody just kind of, at least I think the people in our circle, the people that caught our attention, the people that we are now feel connected to, are the people that stopped and said, this is really bad and we don't know what's going to happen, but what can I do as an individual? What can we do as a company to just do something? And I remember talking to you about, giving away our trade books, for example. And, in the moment I was just like, I got to do something. I mean, it's not huge. It's not like it's, anybody's going to it's going to save anybody's job, but it just felt good to do something for somebody else. And I think that little thing has kind of carried through for me. And I know for you, not the trade books, but you in your own way, recognizing that, of course, we all have to make a living and we run businesses to make a living. But when you stop and add that human element and that compassion for what's going on with so many people and saying like, what can we do to at least alleviate a little bit of pressure and to make it not about me or my company, but about helping other people, because of course that absolutely comes back around. And that's something that I really feel like has been drawn out of a lot of us through the last 8 to 10 weeks. And so there's if there's anything good that we can talk about, that's certainly one of them, I think.
Excellent. Can I read to you what the title of my segment is going to be with the description?
Sure.
Because I think hopefully people will be interested in it, and then they'll have to come to the Retail Live virtual conference in order to see this. So Here we go. It's titled More Human. The entire world was forced to work from home overnight, and as a result, we've engaged with our colleagues, employees, clients, and friends on a deeper and more emotional level. The use of video conferencing has launched us into the homes of our coworkers and clients in a way that we could never have imagined. Pre-coronavirus, we would get up in the morning and get our work clothing on and automatically step into our persona associated with that role. In order to achieve happiness in your career today, you need to be able to bring your true self to your job. It is no longer okay to be a different version of yourself at home, at work, or anywhere else. Breaking down the walls and bringing your true self to your workplace will also help you develop an effective personal brand that will catapult your career to the next level.
Goosebumps. I swear to God, I wish I could show you. You wouldn't be able to see it. Maybe you see my chicken. I literally have goosebumps. Yeah.
Cool.
Hell yes, man. I mean, yes, that is exactly right. And the reality is the people that connect with you, Jay, or that connect with me are people that appreciate, like, just, I mean, you see what you see is what you get. And I know that's true with you. And I think I talk to people a lot about, like, they ask me, like, you kind of came out of nowhere on LinkedIn is kind of the comments that I get. And I'm like, well, it's not really true. I was always there. Of course, the algorithm factors everything in, right? I was always there, but it was just very formal. It was facts and business. And as you know, we've talked about this, the second it became about me, Stacey, this is who I am. All of a sudden people were like, oh yeah, I know who you are, and I think the lesson for anybody who's watching this is just, to your point, like, the more real you are, the more business you're going to get, but business from people that you'll want to work with. And to me, that's more important, right? It's like people want to work with somebody they connect with. And the first step is, like, letting them know who you are.
For sure. I could not agree with that more. And I think that, I'm at a point in my career, and at my age, I'm just at a place where I have to be aligned with the company, with the people behind the company. And I think that there's a reciprocity there. The same way that the company should want to know more about me, more about my company, what we stand for, who we are. And if it doesn't line up, it's not a good fit. And, yes, making deals is important, but it's more important to me that I'm living my authentic life and I'm being true to myself. And if somebody's offended by tattoos or whatever it is, the way that, before I was 40 years old, I would be in a long sleeve shirt right now, nervous if somebody saw a tattoo or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And here it is, man. Like at this
I love
stage
it.
of the game, for me, well, it is what it is. Like I know that I'm really good at what I do and that I always have the best interest of the people around me. If that's not good enough for you and you're going to judge me based on this, that, or the other, awesome. I don't want to work with you. It's very simple.
Right.
So, and I don't think many people in our industry, A, operate the same way, or B, have the balls to say it. So it is what it is.
I said yesterday, my quote was, I will throw myself over a hand grenade before I'm going to let you do that deal.
Like
right. But it's like, I mean, I was,
course.
effectively shooting my own self in the foot because, we're brokers, we get paid on fees, but yeah, no, I'm so with you.
Yeah, I always say, I kill more deals than I make. And, listen, at the end of the day, it comes around. Like it's so much more important. We're in a relationship business, and the relationships are the lifetime value of that relationship, right? So anybody else who's gotten by over the last however many years, putting a square peg into a round hole, earning a fee, I am kind of actually happy to say that those are the folks that are probably not going to be able to make it through this transition.
Right. Yeah, we've already seen. I mean, it's crazy. I've seen a lot of movement or exiting.
And we'll continue to see it. So real quickly before we wrap up, tell us about the event. Tell us the date, the time, where they can see my video that I haven't created.
I'm super excited about this.
You should be. I'm excited.
So here's the thing: we all take risks, and it's a risk, but I think it's going to be worthwhile for everybody. We have the goal when I announced it was to have 50 retailers. We actually have far exceeded that. We've got to be at 60 by now. We've got Whole Foods just signed up. We've got just a long list of awesome retailers that are participating. It's a proprietary system, so I mean, I'm going to get a lot of questions from people about how is it going to work? And I know you and I have talked about that, but the most important thing is that as an attendee, you're going to be able to present sites in a one-on-one setting with these retailers. So there've been a lot of virtual conferences out there, and most of them are panel based or group discussion based, or kind of like, Zoom meeting, what we've all seen. But this actually, is a system that we run in the background. We will be matching attendees to retailers, and you will be able to present your site to those retailers. It's like speed dating for attendees and retailers. So it'll be there'll be a timed element to it, because we want to make sure that attendees get exposed to as many retailers as possible, and vice versa. And so we don't want somebody, rambling on for 15 minutes and taking up a good chunk of the 4 hours that those retailers have generously, made themselves available for. And so actually what's going to happen is a week before the show, which will actually be next week, anyone who has signed up, and I'd suggest doing that soon. As Jay, you mentioned, it's limited to 500 people. We had to do that just from a capacity, standpoint, and limited to deal makers. So real estate folks, no, service related people. And I apologize for that, but that was something that the retailers made it very clear to me that they, if they're going to do this, they really need to find the deals. And so limited to 500 people. And a week before the event, an email will go out to the attendees saying, here's a list of the retailers. Please give us your top 20 you really want, so we can kind of weight those, if you will, and make sure that the people you really want to meet with, you have an opportunity to, because of course you're not going to have a site for every one of the participating retailers. And so we're going to try our best to, match those people throughout the program. And at the end of the conference, you'll still get the Retail Live Trade Book, which you would get at our live events, which will have all the participating retailers' contact information and site criteria. You'll get a link at the end of the conference that will allow you to download that. So it's July 1st. The conference is 1 to 5. There is an after party from 5 to 6, which is going to be really fun, actually. And so, yeah, it's 2:45, and registration does close the sooner of hitting that 500 number or June 30th.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And
actually, I want to say Jay is going to be one of our pop-up speakers. Jay's going to be, I don't even know what you're speaking on yet. You haven't told me yet, but I'm really honored to have you. You're one of 5 people that I certainly really respect. I'm excited for our attendees to be able to hear from you and learn.
Yeah, you know what I think? Well, I don't know exactly the difference between the video that I'm recording and my speaking, but it's probably going to be aligned. So probably along the lines of personal branding, developing a personal brand, using social media to further yourself in our industry and beyond. So
awesome.
Along those lines. Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna watch, because I can certainly learn from you, the master.
You're killing it. I appreciate that. So listen, I first and foremost, I always enjoy conversating with you, and I'm honored to be a part of the conference. I'm very excited about it, and I'm looking forward to it. And I want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule, and putting up with me delaying this 15 minutes because
Terrible.
I was in torrential traffic. And Jace, come say hello. We're wrapping up.
Oh, it's okay.
It's all good. But listen, duty calls. So
yeah,
it's about being real. And
you are going to be famous. Your dad has like a gajillion followers. You're going to be like famous.
You want to tell everybody about your Instagram?
It's Stacey Siano.
It's Siano, Jasesiano, and he'd love you to follow him.
All right.
Awesome, Stacey. Thank you so much.
You got a good teacher, Jayson. All right. Thanks so much for having me, Jay. Appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the day that we can actually, at least do an elbow pump. But until then, virtually has been great, and I know we'll catch up soon. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Looking forward to the conference. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
'Cause this is digital discussions.